Hi, I'm Jay Washburn.
And I'm Joe Bondowski.
And you're listening to Start Writing.
And this is our second marketing episode where we're going to dig into specifics a little bit more. It's going to be focused on your pre-launch. And as I did the research for this, there is more than a single episode. This will be part one of pre-launch. And we will just take as many parts as we need to really dig in and focus on all the details. So this week in critiques, we're going to talk about context and the opening line. So I was at my writing group the other day, and the current opening line of the work I was reading is, my father would take us down to the sweltering heat of New Orleans each year, despite the fact that we lived on the temperate California coast. And I was like, there's no hook, but more importantly, there's no context. And so we'll probably do a whole episode on this at some point. But I've been studying the idea of context, and the example I read that was really brilliant is they said, think about if you're me, if maybe your parents have just passed away, or your mom, she's the last living relative, she passed away, and the estate has to be divided up and everything, and your brother calls you up to meet with you to talk about your sister because she's been doing a lot of really weird things lately, and he has that concern. So now, if we're at this meeting with your brother, we have the context that this meeting is about your sister. Now, in that, there'll be stories about when she was younger. There'll be stories about what she might do. You'll talk about different vague ideas of behavior and concerns. All of this, without that context of the purpose of this lunch, looks like random stories about this person. But the context of deciding what to do about her concerning her inheritance shapes understanding in all those aspects. And so the idea then being pitched is that the opening, maybe not the opening line, but at least the opening paragraph of your story needs to give that context to the reader so that they can begin to try and understand every piece of information they get in the reference of the context of the story they're reading.
Is there context from this story you just quoted that you?
So I've read several chapters of the story, so I had an idea of what it was about. So this is the opening line I rewrote for her. I was 12 when I stopped believing in everything my parents didn't teach me about what they didn't believe, and that's what tore my family apart. So the first line is literally backstory. And the second line of that, or second half of that sentence, gives you the context. She had a split in belief from her family, and it's going to tear her apart. And now, as you read the entire rest of the story, you can understand each interaction between the parents and her siblings and her. Back to that. It gives you that context. It tells you what to look for in the story. It tells you what should have meaning in the story. And it makes it far more interesting.
Man, when you first said this, I was like, how are you supposed to give context in the opening line? Because it's the first line. There's nothing before that to have given context. But you did. I feel like you did pretty good there.
Yeah.
Stop believing.
The context
you can do context in the first line.
Yeah, this change in belief splits the whole family. So, and so it's something I need to do in my own writing, is because it tells them what's important, what to pay attention to, and it can really make it a much more dramatic read, I think. Because like now, as soon as you get the mom and the daughter in the same room, they go, oh, something's going to happen. So even if your scene is very subtle, the reader's focused on all those subtleties because they know this is what tore my family apart.
Yeah. Wow. That's good.
Yeah. So like I said, we will probably do a whole episode on building context and interest that way. But it was an event that happened this week, and so I wanted to focus on it.
Cool. Okay, so I started reading Star Wars: A New Hope. That's the cover page says George Lucas wrote it, but it was really ghost written based off of his script.
Right.
And in the opening scene, there's that battle going on, and we're following R2 and 3PO.
Right.
So these two droids, they're not human, right? And then, so this is my critique, by the way. He said, so 3PO sneered in reply, "The same to you." An exceptionally violent explosion shook the passage, drowning him out. A lung-searing miasma of carbonized component filled the air, obscuring everything. And I read that and I said, lung searing.
Yeah.
Like, these are, both of our characters are
robots.
droids.
Yeah.
They don't have lungs. And so, like, while I, as a reader, can identify with that, I don't then identify with anybody in the ship.
Yeah.
Because I'm feeling it differently than the characters are.
Yeah.
Anyway, I noticed that little metaphor, and I was like, no, it's got to be something else. We got to be droids. I want to be a droid as I read this scene.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna look at this. He says 3PO sneered in reply. In reply is a tag on top of an action beat. 3PO sneered, comma, or period, however you want to go there. The same to you. Right? Yeah. Like, because replied is dull as plain. You don't need it.
So I don't remember who the ghostwriter was.
You won't know who the ghostwriter is.
Well, no, that it's published now.
Oh,
well,
okay.
I mean, like, it's on the internet. They know who did it. And I'm sure that he was just kind of a small-time beginning author. This was back before Star Wars was even out, right? So he was probably a nobody at that point, and it was his first stab at a novel.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've all done amateur things, but... Anyway, so yeah, there we go. Okay.
All right. So this week in Writing Truth, these were two, they were just kind of metaphors that I really liked in the book I'm reading right now. It's called A Travel Guide to Murder, but it's not actually out yet. I think it comes out on the 30th of this month. So I'm doing an ARC for a guy. And so this is the line. She wore dark Tommy Hilfiger walking shorts and a black frilly blouse that must have soaked up the sun like a solar panel. And like, that last line is just like, that's hot. That's really hot. You know, just saying that she was wearing a black 30, I wouldn't have immediately said, that just sounds really hot. But soak up the sun like a solar panel, like that is a woman, it was going to be very hot today. So I thought that was really good.
Genius.
Yeah. And his other line is, like a middle-aged, unemployed ninja, I slipped out of bed in the dark and pulled some clothes out of my suitcase. And I like, for some reason, ninja just did not fit with middle-aged, unemployed. And so it felt like he was making a joke at himself. Because this is the main character stating this about himself. So I guess because it's first-person POV. But I thought that was really interesting. So instead of saying what a ninja is like, he's saying, this is what I'm like. And I think of myself as a ninja doing it. So I thought it was a kind of cool little good metaphor there. And
I think it adds a lot of character too. When I read that, I laughed.
So it was good. I like the line.
Okay, so I wanted to share this. I just felt like this was kind of an inspiring thing. But Cheryl Strayed wrote a book called Wild. And I heard her on a podcast. Anyway, I found this quote from her. She says, I'd finally reached a point where the prospect of not writing a book was more awful than the one of writing a book that sucked. And I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
That, when you can reach that balance where you're like, you know what, I just have to write this book. It doesn't matter what it turns out to be. I just have to write it. I think that's a cool point to reach. I think I'll just skip this second.
Okay. So we'll get into the discussion. Oh, it's a beast. All right. So last week we talked about getting your marketing plan and deciding which direction you're gonna go. And I'll try and shift the emphasis here. And so the first thing you'll want to do is build a website, your author website, with a blog option, and then you're going to build a landing page. Even for your unpublished book, you're going to build a landing page. And so there's a lot of mailing services, because with the landing page and your author page and the blog and everything, the first thing you're going to do is start gathering emails. Now, we talked about, you're not going to be heavily pursuing these. Any emails you're going to be gathering are for beta readers and ARCs at this point. Right.
Advanced reader copies.
Yes. So ARC, advanced reader copies. So these are the people who will put up their review day one when you release your book. So I use MailerLite, and you're going to want to have a pop-up. And I think the conversion rate is like over 60% more people will sign up if you have a pop-up. They're annoying. People hate them, but they work. That's the thing. They work. So I get mine through MailerLite. Now, MailerLite provides it free, but you have to have an email associated with the site in order to use it. It's a really complicated loop.
Wait, what does that mean? An email associated with the site?
So like I had to sign up for an email for josephbendosky.com. So I have an email that goes there directly. I use it for nothing. Its whole purpose is just to be that type of an account. Okay. Yeah, so it is, but that cost me, I think, $5 a year to have that email. But, so, like I said, technically through MailerLite, my pop-ups are free, but I have to have that kind of an email account to be able to access them.
Were you weighing options as you decided between MailChimp? I feel like MailChimp is the one I always hear about. But.
Yeah, you hear about MailChimp a lot. I went with MailerLite because I felt like the construction of a better-looking email was easier. So, and MailerLite, it was designed by an author for authors.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This is cool.
It's by authors for authors. So that's, I do like it. There's a lot of services out there. You probably should check out at least 2 or 3 before committing to one. And here's the thing you need to do. Compose an email in it. And the email needs to have links and it needs to have images because you'll probably be using these 2 at some point. So you need to find whatever one does that the easiest for you. Links and images. So you need to find a service to provide and you need to have an author website. So, and even if it just says, book coming. So if you are working on a manuscript, you plan to publish, you need to have an author website. And so the second thing you want to look at pre-launch, and this is one thing I didn't do, is you develop a lead magnet. So whether that's the first half of your book, the first 2 chapters, whatever, it's free material that you're giving out in exchange for an email. So if your book is not done, then your reader magnet probably should be maybe the first 4 or 5 chapters. Go through, polish them up. You may change them, right? But polish them up enough that you can give it away. And then that becomes the lead magnet on your site. Because anyone who stumbles on that, reads that, loves it, will be an ARC for you, right? And you know what? With your website and everything I'm going to teach you, maybe you'll pick up 5. But that is 5 reviews you wouldn't have had. And you'll see when you publish, that's a big deal. 5 of these other reviews. So
hey, and about the lead magnet, 10 years down the road, you're going to have a ton of books, and it'll be easy to take one of those books and make that your lead magnet. Yeah. But when you're starting out, you might consider writing a short story that's in the genre, so that you have, there are a lot of things that you can do to create a lead magnet that is not writing an entire book for it. Yeah. So get creative, and there are a lot of cool things that you can do.
So the things you need to know about the lead magnet, it needs to be relevant and appealing to your audience. If you are writing a sci-fi space novel and your lead magnet is how to sell more books, you're not going to roll that over very easily. You're going to get emails to people who are not going to buy your book. The lead magnet needs to be relevant to the audience you want to sell to. So it can be a short story. It can be a collection of articles. It can be free novel, novella, free chapters. You just need to have it. Now, a free novel is probably going to convert better than the first 4 chapters. But the first 4 chapters are better than nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So, build the website, get the mailing list set up, put the lead magnet on there in exchange for free. Now, giving away a free book, there are multiple services who do this. The one I'm most familiar with is called BookFunnel. And now, if someone signs up for your emailing list, you can easily set up an automated email that will have the Mobi and the EPUB and the PDF of the free material, and you can send that to them. They're going to be tech-savvy people who are going to look at that and be like, what do I do with that? Right? And there's going to be a lot of people, So BookFunnel is for all those people who are going to look at that email and be like, how do I get that on my Kindle? I don't know. And so what they do is they set up a specific short link to be used by Kindle directly or whatever e-reader you're using. And then they have a little tutorial video that shows people exactly what to do to get that book on it without having to connect it to their computer or go into their email or anything. And so that's why you're going to want to set up a BookFunnel for your reader magnet. So now we will talk about when to launch the leader magnet, because if you just have an author website And I don't know if BookFunnel has a free option. They may be paid right from the get-go. So until you start driving traffic, you're not going to worry about, so yes, 20 for a year. So, but until we talk about driving traffic to your site, you're not going to worry about setting up the BookFunnel, right?
Okay.
But you want to have that lead magnet ready to go. And so that's, yeah.
Well, so what you can do is, I think the easiest way to get over this tech gap is to make a PDF. So if you're in Word or Google Docs or whatever, you can save your file as a PDF and anyone can open that. And especially if it's something short, it's not a big deal for them to read that. But the way I did it, my email has a link that's like, okay, here's to download the EPUB and here's a link to explain what to do with it. Or if you have a Kindle, here's the download and here's a link to how to do it. But that's a hurdle and you're going to lose people. No matter what you do, you're going to lose people if it's difficult. Yeah. So my point was, so I do a Mobi, a Kindle, and a PDF, and I just kind of tell them.
A Mobi is Kindle, EPUB.
Oh, sorry.
Mobi, EPUB, and PDF.
And PDF, but I kind of highlight the PDF, saying, if you don't know what to do, just grab this PDF. It's a cinch.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah. So build the site and build the landing page, and on the landing page, you're giving away your reader magnet, your lead magnet. Right. So the next thing we're going to look at is how we're going to drive traffic to that lead magnet. Right. So you can do interviews on podcasts, and you can do radio interviews, and then we need to make sure that all of that traffic sends back to your landing page. Now we'll talk about social media because you're thinking like, what about Facebook and Twitter and all that? That is a big thing and it's its own animal. So I'm not going to cover it here, but social media. So social media is a really big way to drive traffic. Whether you're paying for that traffic or just trying to develop it organically. But that traffic needs to go to the landing page and that landing page needs to be giving away your reader magnet. Right? So it needs to follow those things. And to have that landing page, you have to have the site, right? So it's, that's the little system that it follows there. So you'll be gathering those emails. I think I've organized this poorly. So another thing that I've heard of people doing is, instead of gathering emails with their reader magnet, some people will actually, there are sites that if you post on Facebook or if you post on Twitter or both, that gives you the link. So they don't give you their email, but rather they promote for you. So on the one side, it's free promotion. On the other side, you're not going to have that email to sell to them later, to get them to do ARCs, to do beta reads. You're not going to have that option. Right? So it's kind of a gamble that way. And also like, this person may have 100 friends on Facebook and 20 followers on Twitter and they post for you. You know, I mean, it's just, maybe there are 3 or 4 people who would really love your book in there, but statistically the odds are just really low. And so making that kind of exchange is a gamble as to how effective that will be. You just don't know.
So I've read a lot of places where they say invest in the email list because then when someone gives you their email, you basically have a pass to have a conversation with them in the future. And that value is huge. Whereas the social media thing, like just converting that into actual traffic can be, I think, a lot more difficult.
Yeah. So it's a gamble, but I did want to make people aware of the option that it is something people do and it's something people are trying. I think it's still in its experimental phase. I think the jury is still out as to whether or not it's worth it to trade your reader magnet for that.
Man, I feel like I just have to say, all of this, I've read a lot about marketing, but it's all pretty much theoretical for me. Like, I can't tell you anecdotally, hey, here's my N of 1. I know that this works because I've done it. Like, a lot of this is just, I have a lot to learn, I guess.
Yeah, we all do. It's a beast. Okay. The next thing is, on your social media, ask people to share. A lot of people will, right? Unless you will never get anything you don't ask for, right? And so you've got to ask people to share it. And then as you're sharing your emails, be like, hey, would you forward this to someone else who might enjoy it? You know, be like, you know other people who read or are interested in reading this kind of stuff. You found me, you checked it out. Will you forward this to them? See if they're interested, you know? And so now talking long term. So this is the author page and the landing page. For the landing page, I will put a link in our newsletter to mine and a couple others, so you can look at it and see what people are doing, right? Because it's not going to do me much good to describe it here. You need to see it, and then you'll be like, oh, okay. And then once you see like 3 or 4 or 5, you'll be like, okay, I get an idea of what this looks like, and it's literally just about selling the book. On those landing pages. So that will be in the email for those who want to take a look at that. But I mean, you can easily Google this, look up your big indies, go to their website, go to their landing page, and you'll see exactly what they're doing. So in the long term, so this is looking at your author career. What we're going to be doing is you're actually going to have 2 lead magnets. One is going to be a perma-free on Amazon, Smashwords, anywhere you can put that book. You'll put it on Wattpad. You'll put it everywhere. At the end of that book, you will put the next 2 chapters of your second lead magnet, and you will put a thing saying, this next book is free if you go to my website and give me your email, and I will send it to you for free. And so then everyone who reads the free first book gets the second book for the email. And now they're part of your list. And now this is the very list-focused format. So if you decide you're not going to be building a huge list, you can probably just do the first reader magnet. Free on your website, free on Amazon everywhere, and then the next 2 chapters are your paid book on Amazon. So if you decide you don't want to build the big email list, you're mostly running ads, you still are going to build this reader magnet. But rather than trying to drive all of that traffic to email, you're going to drive that traffic to Amazon to buy the next book in the series. So that's the model that is in use right now and is working very well for a lot of writers in the indie world. You
said working very well. I feel like every website I go to has a lead magnet and a pop up for an email. Like it's across the entire internet.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. So getting reviews and distributing your advanced reader copies and getting beta readers. The first thing you need to do is set your Facebook account to private. As Amazon reviewers review, Amazon, if your Facebook account is public, they will look at it because they can. And if someone has left a review and is friends with you on Facebook, they will delete it. Because they don't want friends and family leaving reviews.
Yeah, that's right.
They don't know who your friends and family are unless you let them on Facebook. So first thing you do, make it private so that your friends and family can actually leave reviews for you, right? Secondly, if your books start to take off, random people who read your book will friend you on Facebook. So set it to private. Okay, the second thing I highly recommend is you record your manuscript. The manuscript is at least in beta reader form. And so you can get Audacity. It is completely free on the internet. And you can record it if you have a mic. You can even just record it with, like, most phones have a recording app. And then you can export it from your phone if you don't have a mic onto your computer and edit it in Audacity. Because most people will listen to audio even if they won't pick up your book.
Yeah, no, you did this.
We talked about this in another episode. Yeah.
And like I was able to read your book within 5 days or something. And I think otherwise it probably would have taken me a month.
Yeah, and you're one who would read it. So
yeah,
it worked
very well for me.
My very first novel, I sent it out to like 20 people. 2 read it. 2 people read that manuscript. And most of them never even started. So this was my second book. I sent out the manuscript to like another 15 people. One of them started it, and that was it. I recorded that, and I sent it out to 20 people, all of who read that, probably within about 2 weeks. And then they were saying, I was telling my friend about your book. He wants to check it out. Can I give him the audio? I said, yes, and give me his email so I can contact him. Because it is so easy and convenient for people to listen, right? I promise you, you are going to feel like you're pounding your head on the wall trying to get beta readers for your manuscript unless you've got them through this email list process. But friends and family, to read your manuscript, it's going to feel like you're pounding your head on the wall. If you send them your audio of the manuscript, I promise you almost all of them will read it.
And as a benefit, you learned something about your book as you read it out loud, right? You're like, I should probably change this. And
yeah.
So you benefit.
Yeah, there's a lot of, the manuscript gets a really good edit when you go through recording the audio. But also consider this, that the beta feedback is about the whole book and the characters as a whole. That's what beta feedback is about. So you don't need them to see the text to look at the tiny details. That's not what a beta read is about.
Yeah.
So record your manuscript. I promise it will change your world when it comes to beta reads and ARCs.
Sorry, I just had a comment about beta reads. So I usually section my beta reads into 3 chunks, and I try to select the readers that I know are going to get most involved in like character and plot, like the deep and the macro stuff.
Yeah.
And so I tell them that you guys are my first readers, and I want you can make big changes if you think I need to change big things. And I'll tell my third round, I'm like, guys, I've already been through this twice, and I'm mostly looking for commas.
Yeah.
If you have other
looking
suggestions,
for commas.
you can make them, but I'm probably not going to
do it
unless you just like nail it. Anyway, that's just something to think about. But.
Well, and you say nail it. So I recently there was a big article going around a couple writing communities about a guy talking about the problem of beta readers and really watering down manuscripts. And
wait, watering down in what way?
Like it's the whole a camel is a horse designed by committee, right?
Okay.
It's that whole idea. You get all these people throwing opinions, and you end up with this weird mess, right? And so he was talking about how it was ruining books because people were using this beta reader process. But for me, whether it's in my critique group or from my beta readers, I don't make any changes unless when I read it, I was like, yes, that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not taking, I don't take any advice from anyone unless I hear that advice and immediately my mind says that is exactly what is wrong with my story.
So it requires like some fortitude as an artist. Like, I know what I'm trying to make here. And you can help me do that.
Yeah.
But you're not going to take the wheel.
Yeah. And so I very much disagreed with the article because that's my approach. And, you know, if there are writers out there who are really just taking whatever people say, that is a problem. I agree.
Yeah. So don't be wishy-washy.
But I don't think that's how most writers approach the process. You know, you by the time you're publishing a manuscript, you've gotten enough feedback to know that you need to throw some of it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, what is it? During the production of my audiobook, there was a line, and Bill Nevitt, he asked me in the line that there was an action beat where the characters sighed after, and so he asked me, "Do you want me to sigh before I say the line, as I say the line, or not at all?" This was his question to me. And I was like, well, let me get some feedback on this because I want to know what a general audience would like here. So I put this up in my writing communities, and along with feedback on that specifically, the guy said, he's like, have you ever noticed your characters are really emo? I was like, you have seen a sentence. Just one from the book, and you're making that kind of character judgment.
That's so funny.
You're like, you have no idea what's going on, and your comment is just reckless and in the dark. And there are people who will make comments like that about your book who can't see the whole picture. You know, this guy was making comments about a character he never met. The character is grizzled, mean, ruthless, and manipulative. He is not emo. You know, I was just like, it just made me funny. But there are people who will try and steer the ship like that without any idea of the bigger context.
So what did you tell your audiobook narrator?
So the feedback I got was to do it as he read the line. So just as he read the line, he did his contented sigh.
Man, so could you request don't read the line, just sigh?
That was an option.
Because I feel like that's what I would request.
Really?
Just sigh. But you don't need to tell them you're sighing. Just sigh.
But here's, I guess I still wanted the line read though. I feel like
there's some fidelity to the text.
Yeah, fidelity to the text. Yeah. So so that was my experience with this feedback element there. So when you're getting your beta reviews, and so Travis mentioned this, and we're gonna put it here because it belongs here. As people are finishing your book, you're gonna call them up, or you're gonna do like a hangout chat or a Facebook chat. You are gonna have a conversation with this person and your beta readers and your ARCs as they finish. And you were going to ask them about the book right then and there. Just be like, hey, can we just chat about it? If it's family and friends, you can take them to lunch, Be like, hey, we do lunch. And then you're going to write down what they say, all of it.
Yeah, if you go to lunch, you got to bring your laptop. I usually do phone calls. But I'm just sitting there like writing everything they say, and then I'll go back and like highlight and change.
Yeah. And so from that, so when the book comes out, you're going to ask all of them to leave a review. And if they leave one, that's great. But there'll be a lot of them who just can't get around to it. So you take what you wrote, and you compose this beautiful review with just their direct quotes.
Yeah.
And you send it to them and be like, this is what you said about my book when we talked about it. Would you post this as a review? And in that same email, you're going to put links to Goodreads and Amazon and anywhere else you've got your book. And that's how you're going to get your reviews.
And guess what? So I was talking about the 3 rounds that you do. The first people that read your book read a crappy version of your book, but they're still going to say good things about it. And you can chop those up from your notes and say, hey, I know this isn't even the same book anymore, but this is what you said about that draft. And if you're not going to read it again, can you post this as a review, or would you consider it? Yeah.
So as you're composing this audio manuscript, there's a software, it's a service online called Auphonic. It's AUPHONIC. And they will give you 2 hours a month, and they can really clean up your audio. They'll take the quiet elements and make them really loud enough to be heard. They'll take the really loud elements and tone it down so it's just a smooth audio sound all the way through. And they'll also help take out some of the hums and the clicks and stuff as well. They do a really good job. Like I said, you can get 2 hours a month for free, and then you can get like 10 hours for $10. They're really cheap. So you'll want to run it through that just to make sure that they've got a decent audio to hear as they listen to the book. And again, I will put those links in the email as that goes out. So if those of you who are curious, you can check that out.
You mentioned this in other episodes, about how long does it take to read a manuscript? Isn't there like a conversion?
So if you're doing like a full-on performance, like my guy says, I think it's 3-to-1. So 3 hours producing for 1 hour. But because mine was a rough cut, I wasn't doing multiple readings unless I really fumbled.
Okay.
It's probably 1.2 to 1.5.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, cool.
So, and then ACX.com, the audiobook platform, they can give you a decent hour count based on word count. So
really?
I can't do that, but they can. So if you're really curious, how long is it going to take me to read my book? Go to ACX, put in your word count. They'll tell you roughly how many hours the audiobook will be, and then you can say 1.5. That's how long it's going to take me to read it.
Cool.
So, but reading it is also a great editing period. You will catch a lot of commas and run-on sentences, and just you'll catch a lot of stuff reading the whole book out loud. You'll catch a lot of things. So let's see, how much more do I have here? So let's do generating interest. So we're sending out the manuscript. So once you've sent manuscripts and audiobooks out to these beta readers and these ARCs people, 3 days later you're going to say thank you. You're going to be very gracious for them taking the time to read your book, and ask them if they've started. If they have anything they've enjoyed, just to kind of ideally. What you're trying to do is just move it up on their priority list. So they've said, yes, I'll do it. I want to. And then sometimes they just have a hard time getting around to it. So just the reminder email, just hopefully it bumps it up on their priority list. But like, oh yeah, I got to do that.
And you should probably like make a calendar event or a reminder so that you follow up promptly. Yeah. Within that 3 days. Because if you let this go cold.
With Miller Lite, you can set it all up at once. So you can go in once and say, when I'll send, so you send this email out, and then it'll automatically say, okay, they got this email. 3 days later, I'll send this mail.
Oh, that's
great. Week later, you'll say, how's the book coming? Are you enjoying it? right? Again, ideally, this is just a reminder. If they've started it, to keep pushing on to finish it. And if they haven't, then to, again, move it up in the priorities, right? That's what the purpose is there. And then a week after that, so about 2 weeks and 3 days is when they get this last email, and ask them if they're finished. And if they have, you can set up a link in your Google Calendar for them to sign up for, can I talk to you about it? You know? I can give you a call, 10, 15 minutes, you know, and you can also just have a casual thing in the email. Hey, can I call you sometime, talk about it? How about tonight? You know? And, so some of them, maybe they'll sign up for you to call them at a specific time and talk to them about it. Others will be more casual. Just, hey, I'll call you and see how it went.
Man, I have a list of questions that I use in the interview. Maybe we could discuss that in another episode.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
I think we'll do that next episode. Or I guess, do you want to pull it up now? We can talk about it now.
No, I think let's save it. But
okay.
It'd be fun to talk about.
I think it's a really good idea. Yeah, talk about it. Okay. So with MailerLite, like I said, I don't know if MailChimp will do it or not. I don't use it enough to have delved this deep in, but guaranteed you'll be able to set some kind of chain up with MailerLite. I just don't know if it's included in the free option.
Okay.
So you can set up this chain super easy to go out once you've sent them this. Okay. So generating interest. So this is again assuming you have not finished your manuscript yet. You don't. You know, all you have are the first couple chapters as a lead magnet that are linking to a book that you will do at some point. So the first thing is, and we've talked about a lot of these elements before, but I want to cover them again here because this is the episode about the pre-launch, or at least part 1 of a multi-episode on this. Okay, every day you need to be following 6 to 8 people on Twitter, relevant audience. Now, the easiest way to do this, and this is what I do, is find an author that writes in the genre you are writing in. Find one that has a big Twitter following. Click on their followers, copy paste that link somewhere where you can click on it easily every day. And then every day you follow 6 to 8 of their followers because that is a relevant audience and it's easy to find, right?
Cool.
So for building the podcast, probably January of this year, we were sitting around 300 downloads a month. We are now up to 20,000. And what happened in January is I started doing the Twitter 6, and initially I would just follow people who had the hashtag writer or author, and that was taking me a lot of time. Every time I went to Twitter, I had to type that in, and I had to look for ones that I hadn't followed yet or different things like that. Right now, I'm following Writer's Digest follower list. So I'll just there'll be like their little paragraph underneath their picture, and there'll just be a bunch of them on the page when you're on that follower list. And then there's a lot of people who I've like bots doing following for them, so I have to kind of read through the profiles to look for the ones that are actually writers. And those are the ones I follow. And so we built the Twitter list out really big, and that's how we market the podcast. You know, that's how we went from 300 to 20,000. Well, incredible. I would say we ran ads to get from 300 to 10,000. Like we were running ads. I've stopped running ads, and in less time it took from us to go to 3 to 10,000, we've gone from 10,000 to 20,000. And that was all organic.
That's sweet.
Yeah. So that's people telling other people about the podcast, and that is people finding us on Twitter. So stage 1 with Twitter is follow your relevant 6. And you can do 8, maybe even 10. If you do too many at once, Twitter will freak out, lock your account, and say you have to put in the special code.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's why it's 6.
Yeah, so that's why it's 6. You could probably do 8 or 10. But yeah, if you're following too many people at once, they lock you out. They're like, you're a bot or you're just abusing Twitter. But so find an author with a big following, write in your genre, click on their follower list, copy paste that link somewhere where you can click on it easily every morning, and then click through and just make sure you're clicking on ones that are relevant, because you'll have all kinds of marketing, social media people who are just following like crazy. And then I don't even know what these profiles are about, but they're profiles. They're usually of a young beautiful woman. They tweet nothing. They say nothing. They just follow people.
Wow.
So
weird.
I imagine there's some kind of bot creating these accounts, and they're using them to do something. Huh. So either they're liking or following or tweeting as a way to spike attention to various topics. I don't know. They're doing something, but they're clearly bot accounts, and they all are the same. Like they're different. It's always a different picture of a girl on there, but it's always a young, beautiful woman, and she like has no tweets, no profile other than just a picture. And that's it.
That's weird.
Yeah. So you got to watch out for those. So like I said, read the paragraph about them, just so you're not collecting all the other people you don't really want who are just following like crazy on the internet. Okay. So with Facebook, you're going to find pages that are about the genre you're writing in, and you're going to act with these groups. And then slowly you'll slip in stuff about your book to see who's really interested. Be like, so you're on a Harry Potter fan page. You've been interacting with these people quite a bit. And then you bring up, be like, hey, I'm writing a YA urban fantasy. How do you feel if the protagonist did this? And it's just trying to connect with people who would be interested in that without spamming them. I wrote a book. Go buy it. It's about this. Be like, so, so you're still getting interaction with them, but seeing how that goes. Or, you could, when you have your cover, be like, hey, my cover is I'm trying to have a cover for people who like Harry Potter. How does this appeal to you? And so just different ways like that as you interact with them. But you need to have a regular interaction with these people. You need to be going on about twice a week, commenting on posts and posting about stuff that's totally relevant to what they're talking about.
So I think the bottom line is you got to give before you start to.
Yeah. So if you're writing YA, Instagram is a big platform. I do not write YA. I'm not terribly familiar with it, but there's a lot of the follow back that's similar with Twitter that goes on there. So if you're writing YA and romance, that's a platform you need to be doing basically the same thing you're doing with Twitter. So then as you're writing your book, you're going to pull out quotes. You're going to write interesting summaries about chapters or characters, and you're going to create little social media images with this. And these will go on Twitter. These will go, where you can put them on Facebook. And it will link back to your reader magnet. Right? So you're driving traffic there all the time. Even though the book is not done, you can still pull these out. Right? Write a chapter summary of the chapter you wrote today. If you have a really interesting quote in there, pull it, put it on there. So, and then we talked about that context line before. Try writing 10 or 15 of these different opening context lines for your book, and you will even see what your best line is, because that will be the one people like, share, and click on the most.
Oh, that's sweet.
So it'll give you a great opening line for your book that way. So there are resources that will let you kind of compose these posts for free. Like Kavana is one that I use for a long time. Right now I'm now using Google Slides. There's Promo Republic. And so what these sites do, you can just go in and write up your quote, and they have all kinds of images. Some are for free, some are cost like $1 to use. And so you can use these there. Also if you can Google sites that have just tons and tons and tons of free images that you can download to use to lay your quotes over. And
I use one. I better look at that. I think it's called unsplash.com, and it's just excellent photography, and it's royalty free. So it's a way for photographers.
Oh, look at that! Wow, that's stunning. Yeah. So unsplash.com. Yeah, now that he's showing it to me, excellent. I'm going to be pulling images from here. Yeah, so then you'll take these and you'll put them on your Twitter, and then and your Instagram and everywhere of your social media, and again drive that to the reader magnet. And then you can use a social media manager. I use Hootsuite for start writing, and that lets me schedule. They used to be unlimited schedule posts, so I could schedule into next year. But they cut that down to 30.
Yeah, you broke it.
Yeah, I broke it. So now, so what would happen is I would create the images for our newest episode, and then I would just schedule them out for a year. Just do 2-3 times a week, post about this episode, and then I never have to worry about promoting that episode again.
That's cool.
But because they changed it, now I have to worry about that. So I heard about a new one. This one is not, they don't have a free option on this one. And it's called Meet Edgar. It's $49 a month. But here's the interesting thing. Any post you put on Meet Edgar, it will cycle through. So it's not even scheduling out infinitely. It will just cycle through all of your posts constantly. I was like, I want this. I don't know if I'm going to commit to the financial investment, but I was like, that is awesome.
Yeah.
So you'd only have to ever create a post once for anything. And then they've got algorithms for identifying when people are most likely to check their Twitter or you specifically. They'll track that data and then put out the post at the optimal times of day.
That's cool.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. So Meet Edgar is a really effective tool if you don't mind. I know a lot of authors are on shoestring budgets, so that's why I give you it's amazing. It will cost you money up front. There's no free option there. Hootsuite has a free option. But you can research and you can find other sites that have free options and will let you use different tools and find out, whatever you're most comfortable with, whatever works best for you. So, okay, let me see how much more we got here. Okay, we're almost done. Whew. This is a bear. All right. So social media management. So the next thing is a blog. You need to be putting out, I guess at a minimum, maybe twice a month, putting out something. So again, if you're writing fiction, these can be character journals. These can be early versions of drafts, or maybe some of your readers will be interested to see how a draft changes. Right? So you could put out, this was draft 1 of chapter 2, this was draft 2.
I've never done one of those. That'd be great.
Made these changes and for these reasons. These are backstories or short stories. Maybe even just a writing exercise you did for a character, So if you're writing fiction, like I said, we've talked about the DVD extra concept. There are DVD extras, and they are only for a certain audience, the diehard fans of a certain product. That's who this is for. But you're putting it out there. And again, you can create social media out of all of this stuff as well. You should be able to data mine this, so to speak, for quotes and interesting points to share on social media. And then there are other places where you can publish. If you're writing articles, so I write articles. So if you're familiar with my book, every chapter starts with a chapter heading. This is either a moment in history where there was incredible media persuasion or mass hysteria or incredible hoaxes, or there is a scientific exploration of psychology or sociology related to mass hysteria and media persuasion.
Well, it's a character's journal, so you're delving into his research. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
So every chapter starts with that. Well, what I do is, the first thing I do is I write an article, and then I condense that article into the heading. So I'm producing these articles that I can then release as blog posts on the website for people who are interested in my book. Because, my book is a work of fiction, but the people who really love it love the history and science. I think everyone who has ever read my book say the chapter headings were my favorite.
They're cool.
So, yeah. So ideally, 2 elements a month, 2 to 4, you're going to be putting out there. Now, if you're writing a book, you're producing this stuff anyway. Right? And again, you've got to look at it like those DVD extras. This is only for the diehard fans, because you're going to be like, who would want this? Be like, think of Harry Potter. If J.K. Rowling released those character journals and the backstories.
Man, there's a new documentary coming out in a couple of weeks.
Oh, really?
And all her diehard fans are going to be watching.
Yeah, but if she released all that stuff, her fans would gobble that up.
Yeah.
They would gobble that up, even though it was rough, or rough drafts that she didn't publish, they would gobble it up. The diehard fans of your work will do the same.
I just found that Hamilton there's a off-Broadway version of some of his tracks. So it's the same kind of stuff where it's like, oh, this is his first draft of this song. And you like see the changes. And yeah, if you're a diehard, you're like, wow, this is sweet.
Yeah. So it's for the diehard fans. But I mean, everything is. Your mailing list is really for diehard fans. You know, it's not for the casual consumer.
Yeah, that's true.
So I love Brandon Sanderson, but Goodreads is just set up to send me a notification when a new book comes out. That's it. You know, now at the same time, I know he's not like producing all of this stuff. And I'm not like a deep diehard fan, I think, in anything. I'm not that person. But they're out there, and that's who you want to find. And when you find them, you want to have material for them to read. So as I was saying, so if you're writing articles like I do, you can put these on other platforms like Huffington Post or Medium. Now, that's not going to boost the SEO. The blog posts are going to boost your SEO. You have content that can drive traffic to your site that way by having that content there. But putting them on these other places are about finding more readers.
Well, and it won't boost the SEO because it's a duplicate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If it were original, you can't post it in two places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then last of all, we mentioned this before, you're going to take that reader magnet and you need to put it on Wattpad because people look for free stories on Wattpad. So, yeah. And then finally, the final point of today is you need to start connecting with book bloggers in your genre. So there's a list, bookbloggerlist.com, where somebody has done a wonderful job of compiling all of this for us writers, and you can look at them and start connecting you. And we will put that link in the email list as well. But yeah, so start connecting with the bloggers writing so that you can send them your manuscript. So a lot of people say blog tours, which is what you're essentially going to set up, do not sell a lot of books, but they do generate a lot of reviews. So almost all of these bloggers, if they read your book, they will review it. Whereas most people who buy your book and read it won't. Like, I think like 1 in 100 and then as you get bigger, it's more like 1 in 1,000.
Yeah.
Well, freak. Yeah. So that's the edge of the blog tour. And now I will point this out now, but we will talk about it more when we go more into blog tours. You need to be planning a blog tour about 3 months out because that's about how far they're going to schedule you out. So they'll say, you send me the book now, I'll start it in 2 months, I'll need a couple weeks to finish it.
Cool.
So, yeah. So, and that is why you start contacting them now, getting to know them, getting to see their reviews, getting a feel for whether or not they're going to like your book, because these bloggers are going to review, if they read it, they're going to review it, and they will give you bad reviews if they didn't like it. So, yeah, so you want to get a feel for them. And you want to know that they'll be willing to read your book. Now, you can use a PR company to organize a blog tour for you as well. But this is, if you're really shoestring budgeted, it's a good way to go.
Excellent.
So that is part 1. I don't know how many parts this is going to be. Pre-launch is a big process.
There's no end in sight.
So here are the basic sum up steps. Build your author website. Build your landing page. Set up your reader magnet. Twitter 6. Start posting stuff from your book online as a blog. Reader magnet on Wattpad. Generate your social media for your social media accounts.
A lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. So, although if you look at all of it, like setting up the web page, that's a one-time thing. So, people will tell you WordPress is the most versatile, and it's true. I wanted to shoot myself after working on WordPress.
It's tricky.
It has a steep learning curve. If you are not really computer tech savvy, if you've never built a web page before, might not be for you. You might hate yourself. So I gave up. And I went with Squarespace. It was much easier to use. There's not as much versatility, but it's easy to use. So that's a big thing for me.
That's worth a lot.
That's worth a lot, yeah. So get that set up. And so, that's your to-do list.
Well, and another thing, I mean, you mentioned that you only set your website up once. It's the same with like getting your your reader magnets ready and your email, whatever you call that,
chain.
your net. Yeah. Like once you set that up, it just kind of runs. Like people go to your site, they see it, they sign up.
Yeah. I mean, you'll look at it maybe, once every 2 months or so and maybe adjust things here or there.
Yeah. And I think that like if you're feeling overwhelmed, that should be a hopeful thing to you that once you set this up, it's just going to keep working for you.
Yeah.
It's going to keep paying off.
Yeah. Well, and with the blog, once you have the blog feature set up, it's really easy to just go in, create a new post, and basically you're just going to copy paste something out of your Word doc. Feel like this is what I've been working on. Mm-hmm. Maybe read through it once, clean up any missing articles, commas, periods. You won't catch everything, but it's a rough draft, and people are going to kind of know that going in. So yeah, so post that on there. So that shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes because you're only posting stuff you're already writing. So yeah,
that's good.
So the biggest time demand, Twitter 6 should take you like 2 minutes. That should take you 2 minutes at most. The biggest demand is creating the social media out of that. So and that's probably half hour a week you're going to need to put in there. So now there is always the new stuff curve to adjust for. And I always call that times 2. So whatever it's going to take me, if it's new to me.
It's times 3 for me.
Yeah, maybe times 3 is a better marker. Yeah. So 2 to 3 times what it's going to take by the time you're efficient at it. So and I would say even when you're super efficient, it's probably 4 times that when you're in the learning curve. Like it used to take me forever to put together some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So now I just can crank it out pretty quick and easily. Like my first Amazon ad, I think it took me like 40 minutes to write my first one and get all my keywords. Now I'll write like 10 in an hour. Like, crank it out. So.
That's awesome. Cool. So it's learnable skills. I love that.
Yeah. So that's part 1. If you guys are interested in training videos, we will do those for you, but we got to hear from that in the email before we know it's worth our time to create those.
Okay.
So yeah, so that is the end of part 1. I don't know how many parts there will be. So even in the research, I was like, okay, I need a break from the research. This is heavy stuff. So it's a lot to do, but that's part of being an author now. So, all right. We would love it if you would leave us a review and let us know. I haven't had any feedback from anyone. What are your thoughts on the marketing episodes? I know this is only the second one that we have put out. But let us know how you feel about the grammar episodes and the marketing episodes. Maybe you just want us to be like, just do discussion, guys. Just do craft discussion. Maybe that's what you want. Let us know. But, just on my own author journey, I've created these episodes because they were frustrations in my own experience. So yeah, so that's where it came from. We'd love it if you leave us a review. And on the website, Joseph-BENDOSKI, you can sign up for the mailing list, and we will only email you once a month. It'll usually be on the 1st or the 2nd. We'll give you the previous month in summary with all the links and connections and everything. So you can look the stuff up that we've talked about. And yeah, that's it.
Guys, thanks for listening. It's time to start writing.
There you go.